Hi, this is Scott from toner.com, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to hot wax a pair of skis or snowboard. Hot waxing is one of the more durable ways to apply wax and get it into a ski base. It tends to last the longest and can be pretty economical if you do it yourself. The main thing you're going to need to do this is a waxing iron. In this case, this is a Swix analog iron. It's just got a simple dial here to change the temperature. It differs from a clothes iron in that it has a flat base, beveled on the edges, no holes. Steam holes in a household iron tend to collect wax and debris and kind of smoke over time. It also has a much more accurate thermostat inside it, so the fluctuation of temperature is significantly less than a household iron would be. So it's worth getting a dedicated waxing iron. They start about $40, so they're pretty affordable. The second thing you're going to want is some way to retain the ski. In this case, I'm using just a Toco World Cup vise, and I don't bother even clamping them down when I'm waxing. Just set it on there. If you're looking for a more economic solution, a set of sawhorses will work fine as long as the ski is spanned and you're able to access the bases easily. Going to need some wax and a few brushes. I've got a brass, a nylon, and a horsehair up here, and of course a ski scraper. So pretty simple items for getting started. Essentially, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your ski base is clean. You might go so far as to take a brass brush and just do an initial brush out of the structure to make sure that you don't have any old wax or other debris that you might have picked up off the snow in your structure. So brush that out and give it a wipe down with a cloth or fiberline paper, which is just a lint-free paper. Clean that off, and you're ready to wax. Now I should mention that all waxes have melting points, and most times they'll be printed on the box when you get it, and that's kind of the temperature that they recommend you set the iron at as a starting point to melt the wax. Now if your iron is smoking, it's obviously you have it a little bit too hot, or conversely, if the wax isn't melting easily, you need to bump up the temperature just a little bit. Then I hold it at the iron at an angle so that one of the corners points down to the base of the ski. I like to use kind of a squiggly random method here to apply the wax, but the goal is basically to get the wax as even as you can spread across the base so that the iron has wax to float on rather than the base. You don't want the iron to touch for any length of time directly on the base. It takes about half an ounce or 15 to 20 grams of wax to wax a pair of skis. So this is a 1 ounce bar and used about half of it. I usually start at the very tip of the ski and make sure I get all the way up to the tip to coat that base and protect it. And then work your way back, initially with overlapping strokes. That kind of tends to spread it out a little bit, and the iron is floating on a pool of wax. You can see about 4 to 6 inches of molten wax behind the iron as you iron it in. Just finish up along the edges. Sometimes you'll need to work back and forth just a little bit across the base to make sure that you're getting even heat. It doesn't take much pressure, it's just the weight of the iron that is, that's all you need. Come back along, and I like to finish going tip to tail with one final stroke or one final pass. Always keep the iron moving, and that just really smooths out the wax that you've applied. There we have it. Now the longer that you let the wax cool, especially at room temperature, the better it's going to, the better durability it's going to have. Generally, you know, half an hour to an hour is usually good. So I've got a ski over here that's been setting. We'll assume, or we'll pretend that this is that an hour has gone by and we're ready to scrape. So scraping, start at the tip and work your way to the tail, paying close attention to the tip of the shovel up here. This tends to be the most difficult one to scrape. And just kind of work it tip to tail. I like to put a slight angle on the scraper and kind of keep my thumbs in the middle to provide support. There's no need to bow the scraper. You should just be able to keep it flat if your bases are flat. And scrape all that wax that's standing on top of the base off. You only want it in the pores. That's where it's doing its work. And not much pressure. Keep your scraper sharp using a scraper sharpening tool or a screen. They can be sharpened almost indefinitely. Do one final pass here. And a lot of scrapers will have a little notch on them, and that's handy. If your scraper doesn't have one, you can make one with a file. It's just a good way to get the wax off the edges. That's down there. And then I start with a nylon brush to brush out the structure, to get the wax out of the structure of the ski. Tip to tail again. Snow will do this naturally once you're up there skiing, but this kind of keeps the interior of your car clean and assures your skis are ready as soon as they hit the snow. Now you can stop there with the brushing, or continue to a horsehair brush, which is a little finer, tends to polish the base a little bit more, but it's not absolutely necessary for recreational skiers. As long as you get the wax out of the structure, you're pretty much ready to go. And a quick wipe down with the paper. And that's it. The ski is ready to go. Thanks.